Welcome. In this video I will quickly go through the updates that Imperator Rome patch 2.0 called Marius update together with the Heirs of Alexander Content Pack DLC adds to the game. Let's start with all the free features that comes with the 2.0 update. As always, we have a lot of minor changes like game balancing, AI tweaks, bug fixes and so on. I won't go through them here, but if you want to dive into the details, I'm going to put a link to the patch notes in the description below. The first thing you may notice is that this patch brings an entirely redesigned UI with new visual style, new graphics and art, and it also adds nested tooltips similar to Crusader Kings 3. These tooltips works, as I said, similar to the ones in CK3, where you can get tooltips inside of tooltips inside of tooltips. And of course there are settings for how you want these tooltips to work on the game. You have different tooltip modes and you can pick one that suits you. Then we have the new UI, which of course have a lot of things for you to explore. And I'm not going to go through every single detail here. You're going to have to explore this by yourself. But overall, most people seem to be agreeing that this UI update is a great one compared to how it used to be. Map changes. The patch brings a lot of changes to the map, including new countries and formable nations. I'm not going to show you all of the new nations here, but just to give you an example, we are right now looking at the Antagonid Kingdom the way it looked in the previous patch 1.5. And here we see the Antagonid Kingdom in patch 2.0, and as you can tell, more or less all these countries are new countries in this patch. And of course you can find new nations a little bit all around the map if you go exploring. And also we are looking at the political map mode, and this is the same map mode I was using when I showed the 1.5 clip. And you can tell that there have been changes to what we see and how things looks. And make sure to really explore the map, because there's been quite a few changes. And I would especially like to mention mountain passes, because mountain passes are now land that nobody can own. And this land is wasteland with a very low combat width, which serves as choke points where a smaller force can hold off a larger one. And with map changes and new nations, there are also changes to culture. You may not always see it clearly from the culture map mode, but you can also always go to your nation and click different cultures to see where they exist on the map. Next up, we have the invention system. Well, 2.0 replaces the old invention system completely and introduces a 3 structure, allowing you to choose in which direction you want to progress and letting you plan ahead for what you want your country to be good at. As an example, if your goal is to control the seas, you can now focus on naval inventions and even decide if perhaps you want to focus on the medium ship type or the light ship type. So we still have the old martial advances, civic advances, oratory advances and religious advances. But each one of these have gotten invention trees where you can pick depending on what you are interested in and build your own path. And if we take a look at the first one we are looking at here, the military tree. First, on the left side, we have one that's focused more or less on your land armies and making them stronger. The middle one focus on inventions and war machines that empowers your siege abilities as well as fort defense. And then on the right side we have a focus on naval warfare and ships. And on the civics we have 2 of these trees, where the left one focus on trade, commerce, provincial infrastructure, basically money making, and the right one focus around the civil rights, laws, culture, ideas and things that affects your pops. And the oratory also have 2 trees. You can say that the left one focus on foreign affairs, stuff like loyalty and income from subjects, lowering aggressive expansion, reducing war score cost. While on the right side we have the domestic affairs with stuff like increasing loyalty of characters within your nation, lowering corruption and tyranny. The religious tree only is one single tree, but it's a very, very large, and you can tell it almost have 3 built-in trees by itself, with the left route, the mid route, and the right route. And these inventions can be a lot of different things. It could be give you pure stats modifiers, like the one I'm hovering right now, that gives you +2 to culture happiness. But they could unlock buildings, they can unlock laws, they can give your units abilities. There's a lot of different things that you can get through inventions. You pick inventions simply by clicking them. And what decides if you can actually get a new invention is the points I have here, my invention points. And whenever our technology increases, I will get new points. So right now at the start I have 8 points, and the amount of points you have can vary with nations depending on their current tech levels. There are nations that starts with no points at all. But for me, since I have 8 points, I could just go on and unlock, I'm just clicking them randomly here, a bunch of inventions like this. But we also need to look at these arrows. And what this means, that if it's an arrow like this, we need to have that one to be able to pick this one. But if the arrow looks like this with a yellow triangle in the middle, it means we need to have one of them. So we don't need to have both of these inventions to pick this one, we just need to have one of them. And then of course there are options where you need to have both of them. And you still, just like previous, get automatic bonuses from completing your new advances here and leveling up your technology. Next we have military changes, and let's start with the units. When you look around the map, you will quickly realize that you don't see many armies on the map. Actually, I can only find one lousy army here. So clearly something changed. And this is to make the game more similar to how armies was used in real life during the era covered by the game. And instead of having armies all over the world, which wasn't the case during this time, troops are primarily raised only when needed and disbanded afterwards. These temporary armies are called levies. And the levies are raised from your provinces with the province governor as its general. They are only composed of non-slave pops from integrated cultures, but there are also other factors like laws that affect the levies. We find them in the new military interface, levies. You can raise them as easily as clicking a button. And raising levies comes with a small cost of war exhaustion. And to take an example, let's bring up the province map mode, and we find the province here of Cilicia and its governor. And if we find that governor here and this province, we can tell that from this province we're going to get 4 light infantry, 2 light cavalry, and 1 heavy infantry. And of course the governor going to be the leader. And we press rise levies, and notice how the war exhaustion go up when I click the button. Now that a levy has been visible on the map, and we can take control of it. A thing that's very important with the levies is that these are your normal pops joining the army, which means they are no longer going to be working, bringing in tax, etc. So you can tell that the cost, yes, it costs some money, but you're also going to lose base tax, going to lose manpower, going to lose research points, because these pops are no longer, as I said, working, they are a part of your army. And since these are real pops fighting for you, if they are completely destroyed in a war, the pop may die as well, affecting your province even after the war is over. And the composition of your levies is determined by the culture of your integrated pops, where each culture has its own troop preferences. This means that your levies will evolve during your game when you integrate new cultures and expand your empire to new areas. While levies are your temporary armies, legions are your new standing armies. And it was a legion that we saw over here. So we have one legion at the start of the game as this nation. And legions are only available for monarchies and republics. At the start of the game, the vast majority of countries in the world are unable to create legions. And legions are often locked behind laws and inventions, but the game should give you information on how to gain access to them. So if I go back to the military screen here and click the legion button, we can see our current legion. And we can also see that I can't create more legions right now, but I can also get information on what I need to do to access new legions. In this case, it says our laws only permit the rising of a legion in our capital region. And of course that the legion is already up. So if I take a look at my laws, I can tell that I have currently the law Royal Guard. And it says we are able to raise a legion in the capital region. But down here I can tell there's a law that says we'll be able to raise an unrestricted number of legions. But I can't pick it, but I can get information what we need to do to actually be able to pick that law. And I need to have the invention cohorts, and we also need to be of a great power status. And when it comes to legions, compared to levies, you actually are in control of their composition. You can change things around, and when you create a new legion, you get to pick whatever is going to be a part of it. And as long as a unit type is available for levies in your country, you can add them to legions. And legions cost gold, both when you add units to them as well as maintenance over time. You can assign multiple leaders to a legion, and what this does is if your legions is split up in smaller units, these guys will take control of the smaller units. And also if your general dies during a battle, one of these guys will take over. You can also view the history of a legion, and you're going to find every battle that they've been fighting in. And from these battles and activities and events, they can gain honor or dishonor. And both honors and dishonors will leave a permanent mark on the specific legion, viable in this interface, giving them permanent bonus or penalties from that point on. A new military unit, Engineers, have been added to the games. And these units aids with river crossing, sieges, and paving roads. As before, you get military traditions through military experience. The main way you usually got military experience before this patch was from having your units drill. But drilling is not an option for levies. They can't do that. And instead, when levies fight, their units will get experience as before. And when you dismiss levies, experience that they got from fighting will be transferred to military experience here. Legions can still drill, and they've also added an office that will give you military experience. It could be definitely worth to have a good lad getting your military experience up here if you quickly want to unlock important traditions. Military traditions now comes in form of trees, and it also comes in form of different groups. Depending on your nation and its culture, you will have access to different groups from the start. But in these trees, you always find a tradition that will unlock other groups. This one, for example, would unlock the Levantine tradition groups. As you work your way through the game, you can with time unlock more or less all of these, but you will most likely be nowhere near unlocking all the traditions. Combat width is now dynamic, giving you a large wide combat width when you fight in the grasslands and a tiny combat width in some rougher areas. And it's very important to keep track of this, because that really helps you, for example, make use of those tiny narrow mountain passes that the game have added. Also, 9 new unique unit models have been added for legions. Next, we need to talk about buildings, and buildings have seen a few changes. First off, various buildings are now unlocked by the invention trees. And of course, a lot of the buildings have been rebalanced. Buildings can now be limited to a specific cap. And you can see here that we have 2 rows of buildings. The first row is the one without a cap right now, while all the buildings on the second row are the capped ones. And if you have your mouse over a limited building, you can see the cap. For example, with the academy now, it says we are limited to 3 of these in any given territory. And buildings are also now a very important part when it comes to territory's civilization level. As we can see, each territory have a maximum civilization, and we can also see the current civilization level, and the current civilization levels gives bonuses or penalties. And if you take a look at the territory's maximum civilization levels, we can see that 2 things that increases this value is that we have a fortress and that we have a library. So a lot of buildings can give you a lot of local civilization level, which makes it very important to get these buildings to get your maximum potential civilization level up and to get more and larger bonuses. A special building I want to mention here is the port. And the reason why I'm mentioning the port is that it have been changed. Before 2.0, some provinces came with a port, but provinces without port, they were stuck like that. You couldn't build your own ports. Now with 2.0, you can build ports in every coastal territory. And ports now comes in tiers with levels. These levels, of course, they give you bonuses, but they also affect what type of boats you can build. So if I go here to build ships, you can tell that I can build these 2. But if I want to build the next one, it says to build this ship, it requires a port of level 3. And then, of course, this one goes up, level 5. Trade has seen a small update where you can now set your provinces to automatically try to import goods. The patch also introduces a few new character interactions. One is that you can support pretenders in another nation, and that will boost the power base of a chosen pretender in any foreign monarchy. And by getting the espionage invention, it will unlock a espionage option for character interaction, and that option will allow visibility of foreign manpower and treasury accounts. And there will be events for sabotage and things like that. So we've seen all the major features in the free patch. Now we're going to take a look at the Heirs to Alexander DLC. And first off, great wonders have been changed. As you know, if you've been playing Imperator Rome, is that those famous wonders like the pyramids or Stone Age are visible on the map. Well, now a few things have changed with these. First off, you can tell that they have their own room here in the province window. And you can also see that we are getting bonuses from them. We could destroy them. And there's tiers to these pyramids and other wonders. And we can unlock the tier modifiers from Inventions. But more interesting is that with the DLC, you can now build and create your own great wonders. And you have a great wonder builders Whereas 3 parts where you can change the top, you can change the middle, and you can change the base. There are completely different building types for your wonders that you can use as a base for your own. And you can pick what bonuses these should give, and yeah, more or less customize everything with this wonder. And when it's created, it will show on the map, just like the pyramids and the Stonehenge that I just showed you guys. Next we have missions, and the DLC adds 18 new mission trees for the Diadoches, covering Thrace, the Antigonid Kingdom, Egypt, Macedon, and the Seleucid Empire. They all now have custom mission trees focusing on their historical journeys, and they have a few shared ones. The DLC also adds 24 honors and dishonors that can be earned by legions, distinguishing or disgracing themselves with their actions. The DLC adds 30 new deities. It also adds 21 new treasuries that can be acquired. And the DLC also brings 3 new music tracks with focus on war and battle to the game. If you found this guide to patch 2.0 and the Heirs of Alexander's DLC helpful and would like to see me create more Imperator Rome content, make sure to press that like button and subscribe to the channel, and of course give me your thoughts on the patch in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.